Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, we want to learn how we can install Keycloak version 17 on Quarkus. As you may know, Keycloak has a migration from JBoss platform to Quarkus, and because of this migration, all of the configurations or most of the configurations of Keycloak has been changed. For example, in the last versions of Keycloak, we had a configuration file, and this file was standalone. And it was an XML file, and in this file we could configure Keycloak. But in the new version, there is another file, and this file is keycloak.conf, and in this file we can configure our Keycloak server, and we don't have any standalone file anymore in the new version. The other thing is the public URL of Keycloak. In the last versions it was with auth, and in the new version it is with admin. Or for example, the other change is that you have to build an image of the server after doing some of the configuration. So in this video we want to talk about these things, and we go step for step further, and we install Keycloak version 17 on Quarkus with the use of SSL certificates, so self-signed certificates. As I say always, self-signed certificates are only good just for learning and for testing. So let's go and let's do it. The first thing that we have to do is downloading the new file of the server. So for that, we go to the website of Keycloak. Here I just type Keycloak, and after that, as you know, here this is the official website of Keycloak. We click on that, and here is the website of Keycloak. For downloading the new file, we go to the downloads, and here you see that the version 20 of Keycloak is there, and we can use it. And here, this version of Keycloak, as you see here, is powered by Quarkus, and the last version of Keycloaks was by Willfly, and it is deprecated. So we download the file, and here is the file that I use. I just make a right click on that, and I copy the link, and after that I go to the terminal. I change the directory to serve, and here we download the file with the use of sudo wget, and after that I paste the URL that I just copied, and I press enter. Here the password of the user, and we wait until it will be downloaded. If you want to make a comparison with between the new version and the last versions of the Keycloak, I would say that the new version is a little bit easier. Of course, some of the things are not clear right now, but it will be okay. And here you see that the file is now downloaded, and the other thing that we have to do is we have to unpack this file here. So with the use of, I will do it with the use of sudo tar -xvf, and after that the tar file, you see it will be unpacked. I just make it clear here, and now if you make a list, you see that we have Keycloak version 20 also here. So I change the directory to the new version of Keycloak, and here I make a list. You see that this is a difference between the new version. We don't have any standalone directory more in this version, and the configuration files are totally different from the last version. And in this video we talk about everything here. But before we go further and we do any changes or any configurations, I want to show you something else. We go back to the website of Keycloak, and here I click on the guides. You see that here we have different settings The first one is for the migration to Quarkus distribution. And here you see that, for example, the configuration, if you want to use to start Keycloak over with a JDK version as a Java process, or over Docker, or over OpenShift. So here you just go to these documentations and you use them for installing the new version of Keycloak. And here on the server, we have another configuration here, configuring Keycloak, for example, or all configurations, configuring TLS, or configuring database using a reverse proxy. So it depends on in which step you are now. You can use these different parts of the documentation to do the configuration. And here, securing applications. Here I just go to the all configuration. I would show you something about configuration that we also use in this video for installing. Here are the all configuration. Here, for example, if you want to do the configuration for the database, you use these parameters here, these configs here, or for example, here for the host name, you have another configuration for HTTP and TLS. This configuration here, we use them also in this video for our certificate and so on. And here is for the proxy and for the metrics that we have the configuration. Here, just as a basic understanding and more information, you see that we have all configuration and we have build options. If I click on build options, you see we don't see most of the configurations anymore. It means that if you use one of these parameters and configurations here under build options, after that you have to have to make a build of your server. And as I said, build makes an image of the server. So it was just for a better and for a basic understanding. So we go back to the terminal, and here the file that we need for the configuration is under conf. So we change the directory, and here I make a list. You see that we have keycloak.conf, and in this file we do the configuration that we need. I open the file. So you see that they are the basic settings for running in production mode. As you know, the new version of Keycloak can be started in production mode and in development mode also. Development mode is not okay. Production is better, is more secure, is better. So in this video we try also to install Keycloak in production mode. Here in these settings, for example, first you have the settings for the database. If you want to use any other database for the Keycloak, you can do it here. As you know, Keycloak uses by default an H2 database, and it is a default database of Keycloak. In this video, we use that database also because we just want to learn. But as I said, if you want to use another database, you do it here, and with the use of this configuration here that just we saw here. So the configuration, I don't change make any changes to the configuration of the database. I'll go further, and here we have the metrics enabled. These are for the health check endpoints if you want to active them, so you can just set true for them. I don't do it in this video. And here we have the HTTP and HTTPS configuration. So we need this this part of the configuration. Here the first one is for the certificate file, so I change just the directory here to the certificates that I have. My certificates, this is the directory of my certificates, example.cert. They are just self-signed certificates, so it is okay just for testing and for learning. And the second one is for the key, as you see here, for the private key of the certificate. So here I will give the directory of the key, and after that example.key. So this certificate and this private key and this certificate I've created in the last videos just for testing, and as I said, they are self-signed certificate. If you don't know how you can create it, you can go back to the videos and watch the video how you can create these certificates. So the next settings here is for the reverse proxy. If you want that your Keycloak server runs behind a reverse proxy, such as Apache or R and Nginx, you can change these settings here. But in this case, I don't have any reverse proxy, so I let them. The next one that we have to do is the host name. So here under host name, you have to give either the IP address of your machine or the DNS name of your machine. In this case, my virtual machine is learner, so I give learner also. And because we want to use the certificates here, I give the port 8443, because this port is the default HTTPS port of Keycloak, so I give this port also. Now I save the file by pressing Ctrl and X, Y, and the file is now saved. As I said, after doing these settings, we have to make a build of our server, and this build make a new image of the server according to the documentation of original documentation of Keycloak. So how you make a build is sudo bin csh. But before doing that, let's check something else also. We go to the bin directory. Here I make a list. You see that they are the scripts that that are in the new version of Keycloak. So in the last versions were these scripts totally different from the scripts, but in this version we have another script. So for example, for creation, for starting, this is the script for starting the Keycloak. And here, if you want to add an admin user to your Keycloak with the use of this script, you can use it. And other client, if you want to create client. So because we run the Keycloak over Linux, so we use the sh script. But if you want to do it over Windows, so you have to do this one. This script is for those guys who want to install Keycloak over Windows. So I just wanted to show you how these scripts are. After doing the changes, as I said, we make a build of the server, sudo bin csh. This is this script, and after that build. So with the use of this command, you can create a new image of the server after your setting. I just press enter. It takes a little bit. You see that updating the configuration and installing your custom providers. If any, please wait. We just wait until it will be done. And now it is done. You can check with the use of this command what kind of changes are happened here. So now we can start our Keycloak server. We have done the configuration, we have made a build of the server. Now it is the time to start the server. So for starting, sudo bin start. As you know, you can start Keycloak, the new version of Keycloak, in two modes: production mode and development mode, as I said. If you want to start it in production mode, you use this command here, but if you want to use the development mode, so you use this command. But in this video, as I said, we want to use it in production mode. So I press enter and we check what will be happen, and we go further. It takes time to be started. Okay, now so we have some errors here. Failed to start a server in production mode, you see that, but the error is certificate. Okay, here I have made a mistake here, sorry. So we go back to the configuration file and we check what is the problem here. As you see here, I don't have this directory in my server, so we get this problem. Sorry, here I have made a mistake, so I change it. It is serve certs. Okay, I save it one more time and we go back and we start the server one more time, and this time we check what will be happened. Hopefully we don't get any error more. Good. This time you see that the server is now started, and we can access our server. So if I just maximize the terminal, you see that server is listening on HTTPS, and here it means that we can go now to the browser and check if we can access our server or not. So it was the host name that I have given in the config file, and here was the port. As I said, in the last version, you have to give also the oath in the public URL, but in this version you don't need it. We just click on this and we check what will be happen. You see that we get this warning, and this warning is normal because we have installed self-signed certificates, and for the first time it is okay. And your client, in this case the browser, asks you if it can trust this certificate or not. So I would say it's okay. I will accept the risk and continue because I am totally sure that I myself have created this certificate. So if you want to check it, you use certificate, you click on that, you see that here is my certificate. So for me it is okay, so I accept the risk and continue. After that we come to the Keycloak, the login page of Keycloak, the first page of Keycloak, and you see Keycloak does not come with an admin user, and you have to create this user manually. Here you select a name as the username for your admin, and this user will be the administrator of your Keycloak. I just type admin. Of course, it is not a good idea just to give admin simply here, but it is just for testing and for learning. And as password, test123, and here you confirm the password, test123. After that you click on create, and here the admin user will be created. Here you see that user created. After that you click on administration console, and we go to the login. Here we give the user that we just created, press enter. Now you see we can access our Keycloak server under HTTPS, and they are the self-signed certificate that we have used. And if we go to the server info, you see that the version 17 is running. But it means that the server is now running and we can access it, that we can work with that. I want to show you something else for those guys who have may already Keycloak, have installed Keycloak in production mode in the last versions, and they want to use the new version but with the same public URL. You see that here the URL is different. In the last versions it was authentication admin, but in this version we don't have authentication. So you can also change this public URL, and we try to change it and to start the Keycloak one more time exactly under the public URL from the last version. So as I said, it is okay for the guys who have already used Keycloak. Otherwise, you have to change too many things on the other servers that are connected with Keycloak. So before doing that, it will be really nice if you let me know with any likes, comments, or subscribe that the video were okay and were useful for you. So we go back to the terminal and we try to change the public URL of the Keycloak, and here you see that as info. We see that the admin user with the username admin is created. So I press Ctrl and C, I stop the server, and now we change the public URL of the Keycloak. So with the sudo bin again, c.sh, here we have to make another build of the server, but this time we change the relative path of the server. And for changing that, you have to give this config here, relative path is equal /auth. So it means that if we build it, we can access Keycloak exactly like before under authentication and not under admin. So I check it one more time, http relative path and is equals /authentication. So it is a build command also. I press enter, we wait until it will be built, and after that we start the server one more time and we go to the browser and we try to access our server under authentication. So build is done. I make it clear here. We start the server one more time, sudo, but this time we start the server in background so that we can use our terminal again after starting the server. I mean, start and session character. So sudo no hop bin start and I press enter here. You see that this time we don't see the log here in terminal, and instead of that, this file will be created here if I make a list, and you see that here is the file, and all of the logs of the server will be saved in this file here. So if we open this file, you see that we have the log here. It says that the server is running and we can use our terminal again. We go to the browser, and this time we try to access Keycloak again, learner, but this time under authentication because we have just changed the relative URL of Keycloak. So I try to access it. You see that this time Keycloak will be accessible under this relative path and under authentication. We go to the console, and here again with the same admin user and password. You see that we can access our Keycloak exactly like the last versions of Keycloak: auth, admin, master, console, and the rest of the story. So guys, that's it. We have installed Keycloak version 70 under Quarkus. I hope that it was okay for you.